Why, as an American, is Election Day so important?
We live in the greatest country in the world, and we have this unique opportunity as a democratic republic to have our voice be heard by voting at the ballot box, and not just for president of the United States, but for so many different positions. And taking the time to understand each election and each how you're going to vote for each one just allows you to really have your voice be heard strongly. Other countries don't have the same opportunity, so we never should take this for granted. Get out there and vote today. You can register on site in Wisconsin. So get out there, vote today, vote for Kamala Harris.
So, during this campaign, you have been a staunch supporter of Kamala Harris. Why do you think she is the perfect choice to lead our country?
I'll give you a lot of reasons why Kamala Harris is the perfect choice to lead our country. Primarily, they're economic. There are 335 million people in this country. 331 million of them make $400,000 or less. And Kamala Harris has been very clear. If you make $400,000 or less, your taxes are not only not going up for 100 million people, your taxes are going down. So she's better for your bank account that way. Number two, healthcare. One of the scariest expenses any household faces is going to the doctor and the uncertainty of what it's going to cost if you get sick. Will it be more than your deductible? How big is your deductible? Do you not have insurance at all? Kamala Harris has been very specific to say that she's going after the pharmacy middlemen who set the pricing so high and make it unaffordable. She's going to go after them. She's going to introduce transparency. And I know from my own experiences that can cut the cost of medications by 20, 30% or more. And if she gets any help from Congress at all, she can extend that to all of healthcare. Contrast that with Donald Trump, who has said he has a concept of a plan. So when we talk about the price of things going up, yeah, there have been groceries that have gone up over the past 4 years, and that's not good. But what a big part of that inflation has been is healthcare. Only one candidate, Kamala Harris, has said she is going after those pharmacy middlemen to cut down your costs and more than offset the inflation we've experienced so far. Next on the list is tariffs. Look, there's across the board tariffs that can make, I'm sorry, there are strategic tariffs that can make sense. But Donald Trump had 4 years to figure out how to make tariffs work. The state of Wisconsin saw very clearly how failed he was at tariffs with Foxconn and that disaster. He couldn't make it work for the state of Wisconsin before, and now he's made it even worse. It's like he doesn't understand how tariffs work. He's saying he's going to put across the board tariffs on anything imported from China at 60%. Well, come Christmas time, if he's elected, the people of Wisconsin are going to have to make some hard choices because those bats and balls and gloves that your kids want from the local sporting goods store, the toys that you want to buy, the knickknacks you buy from the candle shop, those are all going up 60% or more, meaning you're going to have to make hard choices on how much less you're going to spend or how many fewer toys you're going to get for your kids, nieces, nephews. And it gets worse because there's so many small shops across towns everywhere in the state of Wisconsin. They need to make almost all their money during the Christmas season. And if everybody's spending 60% or more less than they had the previous Christmas, that's really going to hurt them. And finally, and I think probably worse than anything, every single rally, every single conversation Donald Trump has, he talks about mass deportations. He doesn't care who it is, right? You can have a grandparent that has been here 25 years, has 4 American children, 10 American grandchildren, and he wants to knock on their door, pull them out of the house, and put them on the bus and either send them to a camp or deport them immediately. Kamala Harris understands that's horrific. That's not who we are as a country. That's all the reason to get out there and vote for Kamala Harris today. Because do we really want to live in a country where people are knocking on doors and immediately deporting somebody who's been here 25 years with American kids and grandkids? No. And he doesn't even talk about the cost of it. You never hear him say a word about how much it'll cost to do mass deportations. It costs $15,000 per person. He wants to do a minimum of 10 million people. That's $150 billion. Where is that money going to come from? Then somebody's got to enforce all these deportations. Do you want the police forces across the state of Wisconsin knocking on doors instead of, dealing with crime and everything else? No. You know, if you want your communities to be safe and you don't want people knocking on the doors, taking out grandparents because they're so intent on, mass deportation, you need to vote for Kamala Harris. And that, again, that's not even counting the economic impact of the cost to deport and just removing people from communities, just the pain and the agony that will cause families and whole communities. That's not who we are as a country. We don't want checkpoints on roads asking people for their papers. That's just not American at all. That's who Donald Trump is. Believe him when he says he wants mass deportations. Kamala Harris is the exact opposite. She wants to create a process so that if you're not a criminal, if you've been here, you have American kids and grandkids, there will be a process for you to either become a resident or a citizen. And that's the way it should be. Get out there, vote Kamala Harris today.
So why was it important for you to support her on this campaign?
For all the reasons, I mean, it's important for me to support Kamala Harris on this campaign because I know she'll be the better president. She talks about bringing people together. She talks about listening to the people she disagrees with and giving them a seat at the table. She understands policy. She likes to go into details about policy. You've never heard anybody ever say about Donald Trump that he has an in-depth knowledge of policy. You can't think of a single time he got into a nuanced policy discussion about anything. He makes up his policies as he goes along. Just yesterday, the last day of campaigning, he just randomly decided he wants to slap 100% tariff on Mexico. I mean, that is not how good decisions are made. Good leaders know that when you have a big decision to make, we're not talking about where you're going out to eat, but when there's a decision to make, like, tariffing a country 100%, you want to make sure that policy people are involved and it's well thought out. That's exactly what Kamala Harris does. She has a policy team. When Donald Trump talks about policy, it always takes people from his campaign to have to explain what he really means. He didn't really mean this. He didn't really mean that. You never hear that about Kamala Harris and her policies. Never. When she comes up with something and she says she's going to do something, it's been well thought out. It's been planned. It's been, discussed over and over again, and she stands by it. You don't hear that about Donald Trump at all.